This month marks the 2-year anniversary of Vladimir Putin's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. When Russian troops crossed the border on February 24th, 2022, few predicted how the war would turn out. Fewer still predicted a practical stalemate 2 years in.
For Ukraine, victory means one thing: a complete Russian withdrawal. For Putin, victory is more complex. To get a better understanding of what that could look like, I recently spoke with Max Provost, a major in the Royal Netherlands Army working as a PhD researcher at the Netherlands Defense Academy. And it's in this capacity, as an academic, that he agreed to speak with us, because he is also the author of a piece published by the Modern War Institute called "What is Russia's Theory of Victory in Ukraine?"
You have like 4 possible outcomes in a war, and the highest achievable is a political victory. Below that lies a military victory, below that lies a military defeat, and below that lies a political defeat.
While those may seem cut and dry, according to Max, they are not. And it may ultimately be what Russia is angling for.
Because if you suffer a military defeat, but you are still able to create a political narrative that implies a political victory, then it's that last thing that counts, the political victory.
On the surface, it might seem like the war is about Russia taking back something that was once theirs. But as the Major explains, much of Putin's actions are about preventing what a free Ukraine would look like to Russian citizens.
If the Russian people see that adopting a different political and economic system can bring them more freedom and prosperity, and that they aren't necessarily deterministically bound by a narrative that the people suffer and serve the state, then that might cause some instability in Russia, because people start questioning the Russian authoritarian rule and the oligarchic economy that is currently active in the country.
To some extent, at least for now, Putin has what he wants: the delayed growth of democracy in Ukraine.
Ukraine, I think, has written down in its constitution that as long as the country is in a state of emergency, or in fact at war, no democratic elections should be held. And there was a lot of discussion by the end of last year whether Zelensky should hold elections or not. In the end, I think he decided not to do so.
It's hard to say you have a democracy if you're not going to hold a democratic vote, right?
Yeah, and I don't want to judge his decisions. Of
Sure.
course, there are
But
lots
from the
of
Russian
complex
propaganda
factors.
perspective, like we stopped their vote, so that's the first brick. I mean, from the Russia's perspective, that's the first brick to fall to tearing down the democracy. Stop the vote.
Exactly. And you see that Zelensky's political opponents, his political opposition, they questioned his decision not to hold elections anymore.
And while supporters of Ukraine continue to push for more money and hardware, the Major says that might not be the best path for victory.
Strategy implies letting Ukraine become a true democracy against all odds, but showing that despite Russia's efforts, they still can hold elections, they still have a true democracy with opposition, etc. And the other thing is to get that economy viable again. And that means that you need, I think, to get Ukrainian export through the Black Sea open again.
Max, hopefully the powers that be will listen to you, and in a couple of months we can circle back and there will be a completely different narrative to talk about, right? I mean, we can hope for that, right?
Maybe.
All right, sir. Really appreciate
thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely, sir. Really appreciate it.
Thanks again to Major Max Provost. Great minds are always welcome here. And if you want to hear our full conversation, be sure to check out a bonus episode of our podcast that will be out later this week and is available at all the podcast places.